Right, PlayStation Group B time. 3 have already gone through in Group A. It's time to get 3 through from Group B. Robin Jönsson, Ryohei Iwami, the Japanese driver there. Alexandre Huss is out as well, as is Quinten Dalomo, who wants to join his brother, who qualified through in Rallycross yesterday. And then we have Crispin Handel as well. So Alexandre Huss, of course, is qualified through via Rallycross, so there's not too much pressure on him. But Quinten, well, desperate to join his brother on a trip to Birmingham, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it would really, that would make the family Christmas, I think. Yeah. That would be a nice present from Santa this year. Yeah, from France, they're obviously massively into the game. I can imagine it's a very competitive household as well. I think maybe, his brother might have been helping him do a little bit extra practice so they can make sure they can get through together. That's what I like to think anyway, but we can see we've actually got a Fiesta on the line, which is kind of a bit unusual. We've had the Opels, we've had one old Peugeot, but yeah, here we are with the Fiesta.
Right, there you go. Any clear advantages you see between the two, or is it too?
Well, I mean, it's the only one that's kind of run with a turbo, but historically it hasn't got as much horsepower as the other cars. But then, having seen that, with those treacherous icy conditions, actually, do you need that horsepower? Is a little bit more about survival.
Well, we'll definitely have to jump on board with the Fiesta when we get to those final couple of sections. But away we go. Horsepower not helping off the line though. Slotted into 5th place there is Iwami. It's the Japanese driver who is in that Fiesta. Everyone else on the Opels that we can see. Crispin Handel is in 4th place at the moment. And we have Huss with the shooter gamer tag in 3rd. That's Quinten Dalomo is 2nd place. And Zombie Slayer is Robin Jönsson, the Swedish driver, who I'm sure will be pleased to see the icy conditions. So this the point where we settle into the stage. We tend to have everyone very close together. We've had everyone very close together all the way through, but particularly through the tarmac, I'm sure everyone will be very confident, especially in these conditions at this stage.
Yeah, I have to say, I think it's going to be really interesting to see this now, because this is, we've got dry day conditions, so we're probably around midday here. You'd think it would be, the tarmac will be the hottest, the air temperature will be the hottest, so it should be a little less treacherous up when you get up onto the final sections, where we've seen that complete turnaround of drivers again on the scoreboards, where it gets that icy section at night time, that dusk section where it's a little bit more difficult to see. It might be a little bit more consistent on this race. They might be able to push a little bit faster.
We're on board with the Japanese driver, which is Iwami. It's probably worth us actually going up to Quinten Dalomo, because Quinten is swapping between 1st and 2nd. Zombie Slayer is also having his share at the lead as well, as is Shooter as well. Alexandre Huss was of course qualified through as one of the 6 finalists in Rallycross, did that yesterday. This is the quarter-final stage, so this of course is just to get them into the semi-final. The top 3 are going to go through. If you have just joined us, that is the situation we're in at the moment. Quarter-finals, top 3 go through, which will give us 6 drivers across each platform. They'll then will compete against each other over 2 stages in the semi-finals, which will give us the top 2 then on each platform to make 6 finalists. So we go back to the Japanese driver Iwami. Is this car going to work in his favour when it gets to the ice, or should this be where we see Iwami trying to make the most of that extra horsepower?
Yeah, I think it's quite cool just to notice here on the top 3 as well, that the top 3 are the guys that were competing in the Rallycross Championship yesterday. So maybe that extra bit of training, extra bit of competition has settled the nerves a bit, so they're able to put their cars to the test on this rally stage today. But going into the snowy section, I think it's quite cool to know, you can see these hairpins, you can see you're climbing a mountain. And during the rally, the engineers will actually be calculating the amount of left-hand corners compared to the amount of right-hand corners, and they will cross the tyres. So, for example, here you can see you've got tarmac and you've got ice and snow. Some of the engineers will work out whether it's best to have a snow tyre on the right front, but a tarmac tyre on the front left, and they'll work it out based on the amount of corners going left compared to the amount of corners going right, so that they've got the ultimate grip for that car.
Wow, it's very technical, isn't it? And that's why you have those 2 days to get all your notes ready and get all your tuning done as well. They've had a week, these guys, to tune and set up their cars, knowing what stages they're going to be on. I imagine it's quite tempting to put way more practice into the quarterfinal, the Monte Carlo stage, and almost forget about the semi-final stages. Or do you do less practice in the quarters and get yourself ready for the semis, knowing that only 2 go through. It must be very hard to know how much practice to do on each stage. You can split it evenly across 3, but it must be tempting to just do way more practice in the quarterfinals. But I believe we do have our split times.
Yeah, so I can see we've got some split times through. On that last split, so split number 4 that we passed, about halfway through that stage, there is literally 3 tenths separating all places. So you could see the top, you know, the 5 drivers that we've got here, they're all on the pace, there's no doubt about that. Before that we had, who was fastest there? So we had, actually down, we had Shooter was fastest on split number 3. So he is taking the lead actually now, so maybe he's picking up the pace. You know, these icy conditions might be suiting him now. It'd be interesting to see what it's like when we transfer onto that really snowy surface as well for him.
Well, let's wait and see. It's very close. It's perhaps one of the closest we've had. You can see on the left, all the dots have merged into one, because that's how close we are. Shooter it is who is leading at the moment. That is Alexandra Huss, who qualified through from Rallycross yesterday. Then we have Crispin Handel, the Polish driver, in second. Make that 4th, make that 3rd, make that 2nd, make that 5th, make that 1st. It's swapping all the time. 2 more sections of this stage to go. Shooter shooting off into the lead to get that in somewhere. Crispin Handel is now in 4th place. Quinton Delomo trying to join his brother at the moment in 2nd place.
Oh, and it's swapping all the time. We actually saw on the last split that we've had through, Crispin Handel took the lead on that split only by a 1/10 of a second, but every 1/10 of a second is going to count in this, as we've seen in the last one. What was it, 3 tenths or 300ths that separated 1st and 2nd on the last race?
It was something like 3rd and 4th has been, I think, less than half a second every single time so far, so it's devastatingly close. And to miss out like that much after all 3 months of preparation and practice must be a hard one to take. But here we go. Quinton Delomo now 4th, now 3rd. His brother's going to be cheering him on, I'm sure. Zombie Slayer out in the lead at the moment. Shooter in 2nd, but who is going to go through in 3rd? Let's not forget about our driver in 4th place as well, which is Iwami, the Japanese driver. He'll be trying to climb up the order as we now come into the last section.
Yeah, and you could see who we're sticking with here, Quinto. That was a really nice line through there. It was a very slippery, icy section on the outside. He almost hugged the apex of that corner. Not your typical racing line, but that's what we were talking about earlier. You are constantly searching for the grip, and he's looking for that white snow. So he's hugging the inside, then he's looking for the snow on the right, on the inside into that corner. But he's also carrying a lot of momentum, so I reckon he could be fast on this next split coming up to the finish.
Well, Zombie Slayer, we go back with him now, leading at the moment, but let's not forget what happened to Valkonen earlier on, who dropped from 1st to 4th through the last section alone. Shooter is 2nd. Quinton Delomo trying to join his brother through to the finals is in 3rd place. Then we have Crispin Handel in 4th place. Are we going to see any changes at the line? We have less than a handful of corners to go now. 2 corners remaining. Zombie Slayer leading at the moment. They now start to come uphill into the left. Then it will be the final right-hander that leads us up to the line. Zombie Slayer, Shooter and Quinto, the top 3 at the moment. Can Crispin Handel steal a place to the semi-final right at the death here? Round the final corner they come. Certainly Zombie Slayer is going to go through and does so. There we see Shooter 2nd, Quinton Delomo 3rd, so just about sneaks through. 3 tenths ahead of Crispin Handel in 4th place. And then we had Iwami there at the back of the field. But, well, 2nd to 4th, there was only half a second. That's how close it was.